So hello folks, thank you for joining us for another Cody Connects webinar. Today's topic is advocacy, changing laws, and political landscapes for gender equality. Our presenters today are Dr. Amelita Stoppacher of India and Ms. Abiodun Essien of Nigeria. They are both activists and advocates for equality and justice. So, advocacy is a process by which each individual or group aims to influence decisions within the political, economic, and social systems and institutions. Advocacy for systems change should aim to improve respect for and to protect women's human rights. And indeed, it has proven to be an effective strategy to have women's voices heard through a series of actions that have resulted in changes in political landscapes and in new legislation to improve the lives of girls and women. Now, while systems advocacy works to improve the system to the benefit of individuals, a long-term approach to problem solving requires sustained effort. The kind of effort that is put in by these two activists in India and Nigeria. So in this webinar, Amelita and Abiodun will present their experiences in bringing about changes in legislation to stop equal marriage in India and to change the political landscape in Nigeria to be more gender equal. They will present an advocacy agenda that will bring about more inclusion of women in governance and raise awareness on the need to strengthen women's leadership. All right, so Amelita is a women and children rights activist. She's a pro bono lawyer and founder of Taruni, a non-government organization working for the welfare of adolescent girls and women for more than 18 years. She co-founded the Network of International Legal Activists, or MANILA, to help the non-residential Indian women who are facing marital and labor problems in other countries. Amelita has conceptualized Verosa, an integrated support center to access justice for child abuse and rape victims without getting re-victimized through the legal process. So I invite Amelita to begin her presentation.
Thank you, Wendy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I will be talking about my work and a little bit of my work and also the strategies of advocacy, because those strategies I have used them, and also on child marriage, because I like this issue in India, particularly in the state of Telangana, and his work in Telangana on child marriages and how the advocacy strategies worked, and also some small success story, and also the threats and challenges, how I work, threats and challenges. My work started way back in 2000 when I started this organization called Taruni. I've been working for the girl children because nobody was working for the girl child, and also we felt that if we work, children, entire family will be developed. So we started working particularly for the adolescent girls 10 to 19, and I started my work in a rural background in the district Warangal, where there is a lot of other issues like social events like child marriage, trafficking, child abuse, gender discrimination, all of that. So I started working on these issues. Initially, I started talking to these girls studying in government schools. I found that child marriages were rampant, and I could see a small child couples in the schools. Particularly, the girls were in small girls, and boys were in 7th, 8th standards. Then I thought that we should start something for them, some forum, and we started with Balika Sanghas, the girl child clubs, and these clubs helped mainly the girls to improve their skills and also their life skills particularly, and also other skilling, like we have done other skilling also. We still do. We could cover about more than 15,000 girls now. And also, as an advocate, I filed many public interest litigations in various courts to help women and children to bring out new policies and legislations We worked on child trafficking, went to UN to talk about it, and also child labor, to eradicate child labor in ginning mills, then separating cotton from seeds, and also conceptualized Bharosa, which is a support center for abuse victims in collaboration with the Telangana police. So I'll be talking about the main work which I've done through advocacy, that is stopping child marriage. So when you see, already Wendy told us what is advocacy. Advocacy is a planned action directed at changing laws, beliefs or attitudes and behaviors of people and duty bearers in the collaborative pursuit of social and economic justice. Advocacy can be done in many ways. There are many strategies, but we can categorize them into basically six strategies, like building the constituency of change, and cooperation, education, persuasion, litigation, and confrontation strategies. So, first of all, when you see this problem, child marriage in India, there is almost in some of the states it is more than 68%. You can see here in the northern states. In of course in Telugu state, which is Andhra Pradesh, and now we also have a new state, Telangana. You can see more than 20 to 30%. In Telangana particularly, that is 26.4%, and 15 to 19 it is 26.2%. There is a high increase in boys also, because the boys also getting married early. Actually, the legal age of marriage is about 18 for girls and about 21 for boys. So when I started, this girl, I met her in a school. She was only 4 years old. She got married, and she was pressurized to marry because she's married to an elder person, and they had given them about 80,000 rupees dowry. And this girl had to go to her in-laws' place whenever there is a domestic work. So she was given ice cream and made her to sit in the pandal for marriage. So we worked with her, and our work started with Monica. She is now studying well. Now she is still in college now. So our work started with her. Then we could see so many children like that. We thought that we should work. So to build the confidence and the constituency for change, we had to work with the mothers first. We created mothers committees, that is mother for mothers, and explained to them what we can do for the girls, for their girls. For the girls to have some forums, we had started Balika Sanghas, the girl child clubs. Particularly in every village, there will be 2 to 3 clubs where these girls will join every day. They go to a center, and they'll share their problems, also learn so much, and there is a library and some play material for them. We also train them on life skills and reproductive health, etc. So through these clubs, we help them to realize that child marriage is a problem, and also we told them that how to overcome that. So we also worked for the cooperation of the community. We had to work with the caste and community leaders and the religious leaders who play a major role in finalizing, fixing the marriage of a child and also performing it. So we worked with them. We had umpteen number of sensitization programs for them. I also worked with the network with other NGOs, other non-profits, and individuals, so that they can also multiply or emulate what I am doing. And when you come to education strategies, because this is the social evil and attitudinal changes has to come, we had to do a lot of educational programs like exhibitions for particularly for the children to know that child marriage is implications of child marriage, and also because the parents were illiterate, we had to tell them, sensitize them through folk arts, puppetry, puppet shows, all that. And this helped a lot because they liked these shows and they understood the implications. So most of the marriages stopped because of these sensitization programs. So education through media also we have been doing. Media, actually the electronic media and the press has been very cooperative and they've been helping us. Particularly, they have carried umpteen number of stories and also articles about child marriage. What are the implications? All this. This also helped in a way in sensitizing the people. Girls also were trained by UNICEF in filming their problems, and we got 2 awards in the International Film Festival where the girls produced films were screened. So, along with education, we were working on persuasion strategies. This you can here see the ex-CM, Chief Minister, where we had an opportunity of meeting him in the assembly along with other elected representatives. I had given you umpteen number of representations to the secretaries of various departments and even the ministers so that they understand the gravity of the problem and they work bring out some policies in stopping and helping those children. So even we had conducted many convergence meetings, workshops, seminars with the government officials and judiciary and also with the NGOs so that we could persuade them to bring out new laws, particularly marriage registration law, which helps in minimizing the child marriage and also child marriage related policies. So, doing all this is not enough. As always, Julian used to say that along with strategies, we should have some tactics. So, we also use many tactics. Particularly, first one which helped us is working very closely with the police. Because police have been the key people who used to counsel and stop the child marriage. So we work very closely with them. That helped us in stopping child marriages. And also we also started felicitating the people who are helping us in stopping these child marriages. Maybe the teachers, the community members, or the religious leaders. We have initiated some awards for them every year. We give it on International Girl Child Day. We call them Balika Bandhu, the supporters of girl child. So definitely at the end, after doing all this, nothing has happened. So I'll just go to another slide where we had done in 2005 filed a case in National Human Rights Commission asking them to stop about 60 marriages which were going to happen. And this was a major challenge for them because they never thought that such marriages are happening, and they have asked the government to stop those marriages. But only the government could stop only 8. So we had again filed an affidavit showing that these marriages happened and nothing has been done. So the National Commission for Women was put in and they had visited our place and they had reported on this. Then the government had realized that the age-old law, which was there in 1929 for the prohibition of child marriage, had to be amended. Then they had set up the parliamentary committee. We were part of the parliamentary committee. We could suggest and give some very good suggestions to them, saying that the child needs all the support. Even if she doesn't want the marriage, she can make it void, and also she can get maintenance from the groom or their family, and also support for their children. All these recommendations were put in the Act, and we were very happy in 2006 when the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, the new legislation had come after our struggle, and that was a great weapon, and we started filing all the cases. So I'll slide back to my earlier slide where I'm showing you that every year we had filed so many cases. Almost from 2006 when the Act came, we've been filing because once a marriage happens, then only we can file the case. So we were filing about so many cases till now, 56 only child marriage cases we had filed, and these child marriage cases you can see here, they have been all have been acquitted. That means no punishments. But still, if the case is on and when the case was done, it was not easy thing. Although it was very tiresome, we had to attend courts, we had to attend police. You can see here a girl has written complaint, a victim girl, and an affidavit has been signed by the parents. You can see the affidavit also. And if at all that still the marriage happens, we will file a complaint in police station. You can see the first investigation report of the police. Similarly, if at all the marriage need to be stopped and the police are also not helping, then we can go to court using this law, and we can bring a decree to stop this child marriage. So all these things were legally used, and we could stop many marriages, but only because of filing those cases and filing on everybody, because the law says that anybody who supports this marriage are punishable. So even the purohit, the church father, or anybody who is helping or supporting the marriage have been implicated, and in each case about 10 to 20 people were implicated. That helped in stopping other marriages in that village. That way we were successful. And there were mass marriages also which happened on a special days in India. So we also filed a case in State Human Rights Commission to stop those marriages. If at all they are happening, they have to verify the age of the child, so that no child marriage happens. But after this law, we are getting this law is not enough. We have to get the state rules in Andhra Pradesh when it was united. So I had to fight for 4 years to get those rules. The rules definitely helps because in implementation of the law, and we have to get child marriage prohibition officers at all levels. Now after 4 years fight, we got a GO government order in 2010. At village level, every level, we have child marriage prohibition officers. I need not go and sit for hours together, stopping those marriages, counseling them. Now I can send a message to this child prohibition officers who stop. So now entire state, we have people who are stopping child marriage. So this was our success. And when you see recently, definitely confrontation strategy is the main strategy in advocacy. Although you may be blamed or branded, but still using confrontation is always helpful. So when Chief Justice of High Court attended one of our workshops, we made him, we confronted with him, asking him to help the child marriage victims, all those girls who were married, already married and below 18, suffering because no government scheme comes to rescue because they are married early. So we have asked them for help in education, in health and hygiene, nutrition. So now after the Chief Justice has taken that representation as a public interest litigation, now that government has come up with a new scheme helping those child marriage victims in all the ways. So that was the recent success we got, and all these strategies definitely help. In some of the cases, I had to use all the strategies, all the 6 strategies, because it depends in each case. And in some of the cases, like Emuna is a bright girl. When I met her, she was in 7th standard. She was getting married. I had to stop her marriage. We had stopped the marriage using the help, taking the help of police and the government. But later again, when she came to 10th standard, again her mother wanted to get her married. So we had to use the court litigation strategy and stop. And of course, in her village, we had to do a lot of education programs, sensitization programs, building the constituency, all that, because no child marriage should happen in her village. So now the lady is grown up. She has done her master's in pharmacy. She's married to the same boy who waited for her all these years, the same alliance, and now she has 2 daughters, and she helps us in the campaigns. She wants to become a civil servant, the civil services, IAS, she wants to join Indian Administrative Service. So that was one of the success stories. But anyway, coming to the threats and challenges, definitely this is one marriage, stopping a marriage is very nobody helps you or nobody supports you, because they say that you can tell 100 lies, but one marriage should happen according to Indian saying. But there were many life threats, even on our team members. But the community, which the building the constituency helped us. Communities always came to our rescue and supported us in the villages when we were stopping these child marriages. And second was lack of finances. Definitely, no one was helping us with this work, because this is against the community. Everybody says poverty, because of poverty they are getting married. So, but anyway, most of the philanthropists, some few projects we had from UNICEF, Charity Homes Netherlands, and state government helped us. But still, we are looking for more finances. Fighting the cases was a very tiresome and a complicated thing. Although I had to do my law for this, and I graduated in law for this, and but it's also disappointing because there are no convictions. But could stop many child marriages, as I told, in the villages. Changing the law also has been very useful now. People are definitely realizing, because the penalties increased from 15 days of imprisonment to now 2 years of imprisonment and 1 lakh penalty. So that also deters people in getting their children married. And also confrontation strategies made us alienated from the group and branded us as the rebels or activists. And even the donor circles also, government also, they think like that. But at the end, after 19 years of work, we are looked up as resource agencies, and we are technical and knowledge partners to many government departments. So definitely many sacrifices, but gave us very little recognition, although few awards. But best rewards, the girls whose marriages were stopped, now very successful in their careers. We have a chartered accountant, we have a medical student who has just completed her medicine, engineers, we have pharmacists, we have different in different fields. That gives us a lot of satisfaction. So coming back to advocacy, you have seen in my work that I have used all types of strategies of advocacy, and definitely, particularly in changing the belief system, attitudes, and also bringing the issue to the focus of the government or the elected representatives. All the strategies have to be used in advocacy, and that is very important. Then only we will succeed. So this is about my presentation. Uh, People, you have to save the girls and stop these child marriages, which are still happening in most of the countries. Thank you so much, Cody, for giving me this opportunity, and also for Julian and Wendy and Robin helping me in with this. And sorry if I have been very troublesome, maybe making you do this. Thanks a lot.
No trouble at all. It's wonderful to be able to hear the results of your efforts. What we're going to do now is open up the conversation to the room for the next 5 minutes or so. And if you have any questions or comments for Mamitha on her work, you can use the chat, which is down at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. If you don't see the chat bubble, click on the purple triangles and it will pop up. So while people are thinking, I do have a question for you, Mamitha. What are the current rates of child marriage in India at the moment?
Current rate, it is almost 30% to 30% of child marriages happening in southern India, and northern India we have about 50 to 60% still child marriages are happening.
Wow.
So it's still a big problem in India. And also we have another issue of children themselves eloping and getting married very early before 18. So that is also another issue we are facing now. We are trying to address that because children are in a hurry and it's consensual. So it also attracts other laws like Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, and the boy is arrested in such cases. So that is another problem we are facing in India.
Mhm. I have two questions. I'm going to go with Julian's first. Advocacy is known for being difficult to evaluate. How have you approached evaluation?
We've been doing a lot of evaluation for every time whenever we use a strategy. So particularly in advocacy, sometimes some work, some don't, and sometimes we have to use all different strategies. Then only it works, and at the end it may not work. Also, advocacy is like thing, and lobbying, advocacy, all this have to go for a long period of time. That's why I can say that 19 years of our work on child marriage definitely are showing fruits now. And we've been evaluating through interns, volunteers. Every time, whenever we start an initiative or take up a strategy or a tactic, we try to evaluate that. For example, I'll tell you, we've been using the puppet shows in villages as cultural programs to educate people. So after some time, we had done an evaluation and we found that most of the parents still remember those shows after 6 months. So the recollecting value definitely helped, and some of the parents told us that because we saw that those shows in our village and the talks happened, the shows happened, and that's why we have postponed our child's marriage. So definitely those tactics and these strategies, always we have to evaluate and see whether it is working or not, then only do it. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.
I can see Nihal. Do you believe
Yeah.
that child marriages will continue because of this huge girl-child ratio in India? Yeah, that's also another issue which Dharani works on. We work on infanticide and feticide, improving the girl-child sex ratios. In particularly in some of the parts in northern India, in Punjab, Haryana, all those places where girl-child sex ratios, that is 1,000 boys compared to girls, and number of girls, it is always very low. If there are 1,000 boys, there may be only 700 girls. So most of the boys are not, the grooms are not getting girls to marry. So that's why even there is a risk that the child marriages also increase. But I think that's why for a girl child we have to work from the womb till she grows up to 18. Then only these things may help. Thank you, Nihal, for asking the question. So I can see Lakshmi, you are doing wonderful work. Thanks a lot, Lakshmi. We have many laws, but enforcement is pretty weak. What needs to be done to improve conviction? Definitely, we need fast track courts because most of the cases when they go to court, reaching a court and for discussion in the court, it takes almost 1 year to 2 years. So by that time, if the child is married, if the marriage is consummated, she may have the kids also. So then the judge will say that she's already happy in the marriage. Why do you want to convict the groom and all? So most of the cases, that's why I go for acquittal. And also there is always a compromise outside the court which are happening. To overcome all this, everything should be done within 3 months. Actually, in the Act also we have to amend and stipulate as done in the Protection of Child Sexual Abuse Offences Act. So similarly, we have to bring in fast track courts, separate courts for the child-related crimes and issues. Then I think we can speed up. And convictions, definitely we have to court will see for the evidence and witnesses. So we have to provide all that, and police have to concentrate on these things so that every case gets conviction. Thank you, Lakshmi, for asking that.
So, our next presenter is Abidoun Issiet. She is the Executive Director of Abidoun Issiet Initiative for Girls, which is an organization committed to promoting safe spaces for girls and women in society. Abidoun is also the National Director on Women, Gender and Development Affairs of the African Youth for Development Commission in Nigeria, and she's a resource consultant for the European Center for Electoral Support in Nigeria. As a young female politician and a member of the ruling party in Nigeria, Abidoun is a gender activist, a women leadership fellow of the Coady International Institute, and a community development expert and agent for social change. And also, MANILA is one of our women leadership fellows as well. So we're very excited to see the results of their fellowship. So Abby, I'll leave it to you now.
Okay, it's a project of some female members of the All Progressive Congress of Nigeria, which is the ruling party in Nigeria, committed to changing the narrative on women's participation in governance. So the background, there's a global concern on the statistics of women in politics. 6 national elections have been held in Nigeria since 1999, when the country returned to democratic governance after years of military rule. But only a handful of women have ever held public offices. Just about 3% of people elected to public offices in 2003 were women. By 2007, that figure increased to 7%. In 2015, the number declined to 5.6%. The current statistics now is 6.4%. Knowing fully well that over 6,000 women aspired for political position in this 2019 election, and just 2,970 of them were candidates, while 62 of them ended up getting elected, and they are majorly from the ruling party and the main opposition party of Nigeria. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the average of women political participation in Nigeria has remained 6.7% in elective and appointed position, which is far below the average of 22.5%. Concerted efforts have been made by government and non-governmental organizations to increase the level of participation of women in politics, in line with the declaration made on the Fourth World Congress, Women in Beijing, 1995. which advocated for 30% affirmative action, but no effort made by political parties. And also, in addition to that, political parties have not even domesticated some of the national laws we have. For instance, we have the National Gender Policy, which was passed into law 2007, which made provision for 35% of women in decision-making plan. And also, the two major ruling parties in Nigeria have a provision for 35% of women in occupying some of the structures within the party structure, but they are not following through on that. The goal of Project Equity is to increase the number of women in elected and appointed positions in Nigeria. Objectives is to prepare women within the party structure for leadership. There's a general mindset about what a woman is expected to have or who a woman should be. And women are not, you don't see them on the forefront of the structure or taking positions in political party. They are only known to take women leadership position or women mobilization, which for us is not enough to really change the narrative for women's representation in politics. So because most of this mindset is due to some cultural or religious norms of women in politics, they don't see themselves occupying some leadership position, but they can see themselves representing, like a representative of women in different political positions. Another objective for us is to sustain women within the party structure. It's a way of making women grow within the party structure. How can they grow from being just a women leader to be secretary of political parties in the world level, up to the state level, or to a national level? The sustenance also talks about making them also relevant and consistent in their political ambition. And one of the objectives is to advocate for the review of the party constitution with the focus of mainstreaming gender in the constitution, so that we want to bring to life some of the national and international policies that have been into law on the 35% affirmative action, for political parties to move beyond just mentioning a few of it in the constitution, but also domesticating, moving a step further in domesticating it at the different level of the political constituency, from the ward level to the local government to the state level and also to the federal level. Another tip for us is to support key stakeholders on ventures to increase representation of women in decision-making platforms. Another one is to lobby for appointment for women within the party structure, which is one of the main backbone of this project, is to get at least more women appointed into party. We in Nigeria, we've really focused on getting women elected into different positions, leaving behind the appointed position. Now we're moving forward in advocating for more women to be appointed into different positions. And we have a testimony and outcome for that, as my appointment came as a special advisor to my chairman of my local government council, as a special advisor on ICT, civil society and global partners. So another objective for us is to promote the awareness among stakeholders and women on the campaign for increased representation of women in decision making in Nigeria. We also hope to prepare an Emily's list, a list of women who deserve to govern within the party and outside the party. A lot of women have really done well in the party structure and outside the party in their own fields or areas of expertise, and we believe they should be recognized by being given an appointed position or bringing them into the party to run for an elected position. So the rationale for a strong advocacy group within the political party structure. The political parties are the major vehicles for the expression of essential features of democracy, because we believe the political parties bring about to life some of the values of democratic processes. Women have not been received due to concentration of recognition in political parties' internal democracy, thereby limiting and hindering their effective participation in political parties. The internal party democracy covers organizing a free, fair election, regular elections, or internal election, electing candidates for representation for political parties. The internal party democracy also involves equal and open participation of all members. And in this process, women are not really doing well in the internal party democracy. They are being sidelined in most of these processes. So research has also shown us that few women are able to sustain themselves in political structures, and women occupy less than 10% of position within the party. Like I said earlier, most of the women position in the political parties are just position of a woman mobilizer, of a woman leader. Hardly do you find a woman becoming the chairman of a political party, even at the ward level. So women see themselves just occupying this position, and this, from the research, have shown that it's not enough to really bring about change in the representation of women in leadership. So further ahead on our rationale, there are many advocacy groups outside the political parties for women, but no advocacy group within the political parties. We found out that we have so many groups and civil society, the government, different commission advocating for women, but we have little or no advocacy groups like that within the party structure, especially the ruling party and the opposition party. So there's a need for us to have an advocacy structure of a group of people who understand the need for inclusion of women in leadership position within the party structure. One, because it's better because they understand the system within the party, and the party structure, and they understand how the party works. Another rationale is for a strong advocacy group by women within the party. Political parties will promote women empowerment within the political parties, because when women push for something within themselves, the other women are encouraged and also empowered in the process. An advocacy group by women within the political party, like I said, can be sustained because it's been driven by women. They've taken ownership of the advocacy. So some of the advocacy tools and tactics that we're using, first is lobbying for appointment for women at different levels of governance, from the local governance level to the state level and also to the national level, because we found out that as women occupy this position at this level, they tend to grow in it and also master the politics process or the level of governance at those levels, and they can be involved in other better positions. Also, sensitization of women in politics, for women in politics to understand the need of more women and also the need for supporting women who are going for an elective position. Persuasion also at the party level, persuading the party leaders and the stakeholders within the party to support our mandate for including women in governance. Another tool or tactic that we use is negotiation. We negotiate for women to be given appointment based on different areas. It can be from geopolitical zone, it can be from the level of expertise. We bring it forward different areas that we believe that we can use to negotiate for more seats for women in political parties. And also, for another tactics is the mentorship and training for women in politics. I think that's one major important area for us there, training women at different levels to understand leadership, governance, so that they can also participate well in governance. So next is the project equity and the outcomes and impact. Our outcome is to increase the percentage of women appointed into various offices at the 3 levels of governance, like I said, the local, the state, and the federal level, to increase participation of the percentage of women becoming candidates of parties at the subsequent elections starting from the year 2023. They were hoping to have a constitutional amendment and also to improve participation of women in politics. There's a video I would like us to watch. It's a call to action by some of the women leaders within Nigeria who are occupying different positions and the political parties.
Women have been discriminated against, either in participation of election of political leaders or emerging as political leaders.
It's shameful, it is sad. I just think the system does not favor the women folks.
Allow women to participate. They will never allow us to participate. So we need to fight for it.
We have to appeal to the men's conscience.
But we need to stand up to bullies. Women need to stand up.
When you lift a woman up, you are lifting a nation up. But if you suppress a woman, you are suppressing a nation.
We are not fighting the men. We are not instructing the men. We are here to be partners in progress.
President Buhari has promised us that he will work with women.
And I want to believe he's going to do something better for the women this time around.
I believe Mr. President will break the jinx this time. When he breaks the jinx, he will set the tone for others that will come after him. We want more women participation.
Women's inclusion in governance helps to advance a vibrant democracy and also to address gender equality in governance, and also reflect a good policy making, and also to build an overall strong nation. I believe it's a win-win approach that 45 or half of the population cannot be left out of development in the nation, and that's why we believe Project Equity will give us that. So I think we're open to questions and comments.
Perfect. And as you were talking, Nihal Kovali had asked, is it easier for women whose family members, husbands, fathers, brothers, who are already in political parties, able to sustain themselves for long periods of time as authority figures within the political parties?
Yeah, we've seen more of that in Nigeria when, parents of, women become godfathers or the mafia in the politics. And with that, they were able to sustain themselves or get themselves into leadership position. Really, most of the women we have in the Senate is either they have their husband who is a godfather in the political party, or their husband has been an ex-governor or ex-senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So it has been like that, and it's a way of even sustaining women and men in politics.
I have a question as well. Like, as you were doing your Project Equity work, what were your biggest lessons learned throughout the project?
Okay, I think it's about understanding the whole advocacy within the party structure. The advocacy we use within a party structure is different from what we use in an NGO world or civil society world. There you understand what the men want. Sometimes they ask you, they tell you the type of women they want to see on the table. They tell you some of the challenges they have with women in leadership, and it gives us more opportunity to learn from them and also use some of what we've learned from them to use in our advocacy work or projects. So it's a lesson process for us, and also it gives us the room to know what the best practices within the political parties, and also to know how we tackle advocacy within the parties as a party person.
Julian has a question for you both. You are both engaged in a research fellowship along with your advocacy. How has research supported your advocacy or vice versa? Any lessons on communicating research for influencing purposes? So I'll get you to respond first, Abby, and then we'll have Mamata.
Okay, thank you very much. While doing our research on this project, we realized that, we don't really have statistics of women appointed into different positions at even state and federal level. So it shows, the gap that we have. A lot of the advocacy we have seen in Nigeria are focused majorly on women elected into different positions. So there's a gap on, we don't have the baseline statistics for how many women were appointed at different, levels of governance or different administration in Nigeria and at different levels of governance. So it shows the gap, the wide gap we have in the statistics, and which gave us the opportunity to really provide feedback and also for our evaluation and monitoring, in the sense that we're able to now go back into a research and survey to get actually what is the baseline statistics of women appointed into various positions from local level to state level and to the federal level.
Thank you. Mamata, what are your experiences with research?
Yeah, I've been using research a lot because child marriage, we had interns, international interns doing research on our work and documenting it. This was supported by UNICEF. And they said that Balika Sanghas, all these girl child clubs, and supporting them for girls for education. The advocacies we had done, the advocacy and lobbying done by Taruni resulted in most of the marriages, child marriages stopping, and also girls educate. There is a lot of improvement in the education levels of the girls. But at our level, we've been taking up this research, and we usually utilize the services of volunteers and interns in taking up this research, because now we see every time there are many changes happening in the communities. Particularly when I started the work, it was only the caste and custom was the reason for child marriage. Now you see that it is the family's respect, and also a girl child looked at as a burden because of the dowry and the money they have to shell for the marriage. So this kind of changes have been documented very well. Every time we take up proper scientific and academic research, and that has helped us. Many universities, law colleges, they had sent their interns and they had done their research on this and submitted papers. So we are learning from our work and trying to improve ourselves. So that's it, Julian.
We have a question on another question on the floor for Abby. Laxmi said it's a really long way for women to reach heights in politics, but if they are united, they can make it. Is anything being done in this front in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. Getting women united in Nigeria has been a major issue because we have different political parties, and getting them united as a political body has been a very difficult issue because you have interests. And most of the coalition we have now is being led by civil society organizations, and the gap I've seen that is that most of the civil society organizations don't understand some of the issues we have within the party structure. So most of the advocacy don't end up bring better results that we're expecting. So getting women coalited or getting women having one voice united within Nigeria has been a major issue. We've seen different factions of women doing similar things. So for us, we are in the All Progressive Congress, and because we already have the interest, so it's difficult for us supporting another political parties that have the same person that is vying for the same position. So it's been an issue like that. And also as someone in a ruling party, if you're found supporting another woman in another party, you are termed to be doing an anti-party. So it can affect your political growth and development. So it's been a major issue because of interests of women. There's a woman called Obi Ezekwesili. She came out to run for presidency. As later on, few weeks for the election, she stepped down. And I think one of these major issues was some of these reasons that I've highlighted earlier, for women coming out to support their candidates and coming out all front that yes, we need a woman that will become the president of Nigeria. She has been leading the Bring Back Our Girls movement in Nigeria, and she's doing successfully well, but she couldn't sustain her political ambition.
So as we're winding up, I would like to thank you for participating in our Coady Connects webinar. Mamitha and Abby have presented some very different ways to actually embed advocacy work within the work that they're doing within their countries, and have had some very successful results and also challenges. And that's one of the reasons why we like to do our webinars is to engage other participants and to have some ideas and to also connect folks with each other. So I would like to thank Mamitha and Abby for the work that they've done and taken away from their work day to join with us. One of the things we do ask you is that you spend about a minute to evaluate today's webinar, because we always like to get some feedback on what's working for our audience, and also to perhaps collect some suggestions of the types of webinars that Coady graduates can do along with us. So you'll notice in the chat that there is a link that will take you to the anonymous survey. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating. I look forward to another Coady Connects webinar. If you're a Coady graduate, please log into Coady Connects and join the circle of thousands of Coady graduates who are continuing their work all over the globe. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
And thank you.